When it comes to horse racing, you can never have too much information. With TwinSpires, you can place your bets with confidence. Whether you use handicapping insights like our Brisnet speed ratings, prime power and past performances, the guidance of our experts' top picks, or just choose a name that catches your eye. Yes! No matter how you pick your horse, bet with TwinSpires. And now you can race to victory with TwinSpires tournaments.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Jury, a post-Derby edition. Just a two-man crew. Actually, a little bit under the weather today. The Jury sure does knock us out each and every year. We certainly wish her the best, and we'll see her back next week. But Darin, Zoccali, James Scully with you. We are back to our old format, best bets and fades of the week, James. So let's waste no time and dive right in. Give us your best bet of the weekend.
Well, thank you, Darin. It was great seeing you last week at Churchill Downs. Glad you made it back home safe and sound. And my best bet is going to come at Churchill Downs. It's in race number 10. It's number 3, Abentot for Mark Casse. This is a not this time filly that last year broke through with the first stakes win after a couple of stakes efforts in the Grade 3 Matron. You know, that's not the strongest prep typically for the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies turf. And Abentot did not fire in the Juvenile Fillies turf. She ran last, actually. But I really like this. I think this not this time filly is going to do nothing but get better as a 3-year-old and moving forward for the Casse barn. And she came back in, unlike Nitrogen and Vixen and some of our other talented turf stablemates in the Casse barn who came back and ran in stakes races at Gulfstream Park, Abentot did not make her 2025 debut until this Limestone Stakes. And let me just say, this was a tough spot. We'll see her down there on the rail. She's coming up. She was in tight going into the far turn. When she entered the stretch, Dylan Davis angled her from the inside all the way to the outside. And then in the stretch, he angled her from the outside all the way to the rail. I mean, she spent part of that race not even running straight. She gets beat a length. She's flying late against this She's So Spicy and Dream Away. The thing about those two runners is that She's So Spicy was drawn inside of Dream Away last time, went wire to wire. Dream Away's all speed too. She's on the inside today. They're out there. They're going to take care of each other. And they also had to deal with some other rivals like number 2, Mighty Aru, and number, perhaps another rival or two. We'll also see what happens with a filly that's cross-entered in there that has speed. But needless to say, I think there's plenty of speed signed on in this Mamselle Stakes. It's going to set it up for the 3 Abentot, who's only going to improve. She's going to get the perfect setup, and she's going to improve upon that seasonal debut. I didn't think off of like a trip that wasn't favorable where she gets beat a length in a real tough Limestone Stakes. I look for her to get it done on Saturday in the Mamselle.
The important question is, do you have bankroll from Derby week in order to send it in here on your best bet of the weekend?
I do. And I'll be playing it.
You did okay in the Derby?
I did good on the Derby. Yeah, I had a really good day. I won a little bit on Friday, but had a really good day on Saturday.
That's what we like to hear. Hopefully we'll have another good day on Saturday. My best bet is also in a turf sprint, but I'm going to go in my backyard, Belmont at Aqueduct. It is the Take the A-Train Stakes, something that I haven't done in a very long time. But I think Bunratty Manor is very interesting in here. And I know she's cross-entered in the race that you just talked about. I thought this race on paper, though, is much, much softer than the Mamselle. And I would be surprised if they don't choose this race over the other one. You take a look at this field, and for a turf sprint, there's not a ton of early speed in here. I mean, you have to figure that the speed is obviously going to come from Lovely Emma, who's made the lead in some pretty quick fractions over in Kentucky, over at the fairgrounds. But really, other than her, I thought Bunratty Manor down to the inside, even though she's cutting back in distance, could probably work out a nice trip in the pocket right behind the speed. And if she's able to shake free late, maybe slice her way out from in between horses or just in and behind the speed, she might be able to show up some good acceleration. I was really impressed with her maiden win 2 starts back at Gulfstream Park when she went a mile on the turf in wire-to-wire fashion. She was favored that day. I thought drawing clear there by 4+ lengths very impressively. Then they tried her going long on the turf in the Sanibel Island, And she found that to be just a little bit too tough. And now they cut back in distance here, back to a turf sprint where she has run well in the past. She was second in a maiden special weight at Gulfstream over the turf. Rusty Arnold is extremely sharp with these types, especially when he cuts back on the grass. Jose Lescano, who's one of my favorite turf riders in the country, gets aboard. So Bunratty Matter at 10-1, I thought was pretty interesting here in a very competitive field.
Yeah, I agree with your take. I mean, unlike the Mamselle, where you've got stakes winners in there, all the runners in the Take the A train are looking for their first stakes win. I thought Bunratty Manor drew well on the inside with her speed, and I really think her main rivals are a pair of last out maiden winners. So having that stakes experience in that Sanibel Island, I think will only help her.
So I'm hanging out in New York. You are hanging out doing most of your plays in Kentucky. Let's switch right on over and talk about your fade. Who short price do we want to pitch off our tickets?
Yeah, I'm going to pitch. My fade is going to come at Churchill Downs as well. It's in race number 9, and it's the number 2 Walaka. And the thing about Walaka is that he's been, second, third, or fourth in his last 6 starts, while in my eyes, not really seriously offering a challenge for the win. His lone win from 5 starts at Churchill Downs came over $20,000 claimers. He's in an entry-level allowance here, winless at the distance. And I just think that, it's not only that the Walaka, who's 5-2, I think is vulnerable in this race, but the horse to his immediate inside, Gun Party's 3-1. I don't think he's in top form right now. I really like a pair of runners in here, the 5 Horizonte and the 8 McElroy. I think they're both got much better win chances, and I'm fading the short price horses in race 9 at Churchill Downs, including the morning line favorite, number 2, Walaka. Who's your fade, Darin?
Yeah, I'm actually going against a pretty strong favorite in the John Nehrude Stakes at Belmont at Aqueduct. Race number 7 on the program. What you talking about? 6-5 on the morning line. Wesley Ward trainee, a typical Wesley Ward horse with a lot of gaps in between the races. Now, admittedly, he's never really run that bad of a race, but he's coming into this off a race that earned a really strong figure against New York Bred Company in January at Aqueduct. I'm going to let a horse who dominates a New York bred allowance in January come back and beat me in an open stake at 6-5 every time. This horse running 2 good races in a row with big figures. While he's always run competitively, he's not been able to string 2 wins together. He's always got gaps between his races, which we know is par for the course for Wesley Ward. But this is by far, in my opinion, the toughest race that he's faced thus far. And they're going to flock to him because of that monster figure that he put up there. If he runs back to that performance, I admit he's very tough to beat. But at a short price, when you take a look at the rest of the field, Surveillance to his outside is coming in off a win against Open Allowance Company. Ran a respectable 4th in the Carter behind the very talented Crazy Mason, who rallied from far off the pace that day. Was 2nd behind Full Moon Madness in the Grade 3 Tom Full. Full Moon Madness is drawn down to the rail here, ran in the Carter as well. You got another horse shipping up from Tampa off of big figures and wins. Anarchist is coming off of a 3rd place finish in the Count Fleet behind the very talented Booth at Oaklawn Park. So I just think he's facing much, much better rivals than what he's seen in the past. And this looks like a race that at a short price, this is the type of horse I'm going to play against.
I agree with you. I mean, the number 1 Full Moon Madness has run better numbers even as well, at least on the Bristnet speed rating scale. And I was a big fan of Anarchist way back 2 years ago when he ran 2nd to Elite Power in the True North. And then he came back and I bet him at 8-1 in the Bing Crosby, and he got beat by the Chosen Braun by a head. Ever since then, his next 7 races were bad. I mean, they just weren't as good. But I really liked Anarchist close 3rd last time in Oaklawn Park, the Count Fleet at Oaklawn. I think that's a sign of good things to come. I think he's in with a chance there. And he's going to be, I know he's 7-2, but I even think Surveillance could be a shorter odds. I thought that there were 4 horses in there, including your fade. Even though it's a short field, it's a nice little race, the John Nehrude.
Yeah, I remember we've talked about Anarchist on the jury before, and like you mentioned, He looked like maybe the next up and coming sprinter a couple of years back. He ran against, as you talked about, Elite Power. He won the Pat O'Brien Stakes. Then he came out in the Bing Crosby with front wraps on, and he did not run well that day. They sent him to Seoul, Korea, where he actually ran third behind Remake and Jasper Crone, who are two highly thought of Japanese sprinters. Given time off after that, and just seems like he's kind of needed a little bit of time to get his legs back under him at age 6. But that most recent performance was definitely a step in the right direction. I wouldn't be surprised at all if Anarchist was ready to take a big step forward here. And part of the reason why I'm fading the favorite, like you said, I think any one of 3 or 4 can win it other than the favorite. So looks like a good race to take a bit of a fade. Well,
And why don't you go ahead and lead us off on the what's next, and then I'll come in behind you if that's okay, Darin.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, before we get to that, let's talk about a few other items with promotions. Yeah, we got a little bit of time before that. So the promo side of things, obviously the Churchill Downs meet now is in full swing after Kentucky Derby week, and we have a different promotional offer for you every day of the week. So on Friday, we have the across the board 15% odds boost. This is a boost on win, place, and show wagers. So be sure to be opted in. It's some of the simplest bets in the racing, but it's always good to incentivize players to wager on some of those bets that they're more likely to win on and try to give them a little bit more value. So Fridays, we have the across the board boost 15% at Churchill. Saturdays, we got a 25% odds boost on win bets. Again, keeping it simple. You have a winning win wager, you're opted in. If a horse pays $10 to win, you're going to get back $12.50 instead of the $10. So obviously, there's a great offer here to give you an extra boost on top of your winning win wagers. And then for the more lavish exotic players on Sunday, we've got a big $5,000 early pick 5, hit it and split it. So if you're opted in and you hit the early pick 5, in addition to what you get in the pick 5, you're going to share in an additional $5,000. So we've got a lot of promotions on this Churchill Downs meet kicking off this week. Be sure to be opted into all of them and maximizing your possible profit and return on investment at TwinSpires. And of course, TwinSpires tournaments, KDBC may be in the books, but we're going to roll along. We got a great tournament on Saturday, a good feeder contest, $160 for the Stephen Foster Betting Challenge, which is our next big contest on Stephen Foster Day. And today, the TwinSpires Tour has started. So that kicks off with today's program at Churchill Downs. We have 2 separate tournaments, a cash and a feeder on that. Be sure to watch yourself climb that leaderboard all year long. Another opportunity to enhance your tournament experience with more cash prizes and KDBC seats. So be sure to go to the TwinSpires Tour under the TwinSpires Tour banner on our TwinSpires website. All right, we'll get to the what else now. And even though the Derby is behind us, the Triple Crown season is in full swing. And one of the races that is a prep for the Belmont Stakes takes place this week. It is the Peter Pan. On paper, it looks like a matchup between Captain Cook and Hill Road. Captain Cook is coming off an effort where he prompted the pace of Rodriguez in the Wood Memorial and faltered late in the stretch. Coming out of that, he came off the Kentucky Derby trail and has now put his eyes on the Belmont Stakes potentially. We'll see what happens here. This horse won at 1 1/8 2 back. Last time out, pushed Rodriguez along, but came up empty in the stretch. That was his first race in a little over 2 months, almost 10 weeks. So it's certainly likely that he's going to take a step forward. He's not facing as strong a field here, and he definitely has a pace advantage over his rival, Hill Road. Hill Road was going to be a popular play coming out of the Tampa Bay Derby in the Wood Memorial, but scratched out of that race. So now he's going to take aim on the Belmont Stakes. He's a horse that likely needs a good setup. He needs an honest pace scenario. And I definitely think from a tactical standpoint, he might be at a bit of a disadvantage in this spot because I don't see a ton of early speed to push Captain Cook along. I do think Uncaged is a bit interesting here, James, for Todd Pletcher. Uncaged is making his 3rd race back off the form cycle. He won upon debut at Saratoga as a 2-year-old. Then he came back and he was just a so-so 4th in his return to the races, which was a race that he obviously needed. He finished behind a next out winner that day. I then came back with what I thought was a really good effort in the mud, going the 1-turn mile at Aqueduct on April the 6th. I definitely think he could be set to take another step forward. He stretches out around 2 turns for the first time. He's by Curlin out of a Pioneer of the Nile mare. This is a lightly raced horse with upside that's going to get a very stiff challenge here, but I think he's got some appeal. And I know you see a horse in this race that you thought had appeal at a price as well.
Yeah, it's sort of a little bit the same profile as Uncaged, number 5, McAfee. He's adding blinkers. I think the blinkers might really help this Rick Dutrow trainee. He really just sort of broke slowly in the wood And then I thought he got pinched back entering the first turn and sort of just ran in spots after that. Perhaps the blinkers will move him forward. I still think he's got some ability. And as far as uncaged go, yeah, I love that stretch out to 2 turns. I mean, if you're betting on him, hopefully that dissuades people from betting on him, because I don't think there'll be any trouble at all. Those are the kind of horses I like. Hill Road, not only he's had like some injury issues. I mean, Brown said he was like nowhere close to 100% at Tampa Bay Derby. You reference how he's missed targets since then. I'm worried about his fitness for a mile and 8 too. And I thought that Captain Cook took a step back last time. I'm not betting on him at short odds. So I like McAfee, but I'm also intrigued by Uncaged. And I want to mention real quick, if this is our what else section, the news broke this week that Heart of Honor has been confirmed for the Preakness Stakes for Jamie Osborne. And this is a 3-year-old who has run first or second in all 6 of his starts, the last 5 of them coming on dirt in Dubai. Looks like off of his last 2 races at a mile and an 1/8, a 2-turn type who, has a bright future potentially in dirt route races. And I just think it was a blessing in disguise for Heart of Honor to run a no second to Admire Daytona. It would have been a really difficult challenge coming over the Derby. We saw had Admire Daytona, didn't handle the slop, didn't run well. But he gets to miss all those heavy hitters, with the exception possibly of journalism in the Preakness. I think the Preakness is, if you're going to jump into the Triple Crown Series, that's the race to do it. It won't have the depth that the Derby and the Belmont probably will have. And I'm a little intrigued by him. He's going to offer some value, Heart of Honor. So I just wanted to mention he's an intriguing European entrant for the Preakness next week.
I think you alluded to it, and somebody would probably ask the question, considering the fact that he ran second to Admire Daytona in the UAE Derby, did Admire Daytona's performance or lack thereof in the Kentucky Derby dissuade you at all, considering his chances in the Preakness?
No, I mean, it would have been different if he just, I'm going to give Admire Daytona an excuse for his effort. He backed up so quick. I mean, heck, he checked Burnham Square going into the far turn, and then once they got into the turn, he backed up into him. He negatively affected Burnham Square twice in that Derby, I thought. But I don't think that.
Don't remind me.
Yeah, I know that stings. Sorry, Darin. But I don't think that was a true indication. I don't think that it will have any relevance on how Heart of Honor runs.
Yeah, well, we look forward to talking about him and certainly many others that are going to be taking their place in the starting gate in the Preakness Stakes. It was actually just announced that Goal Oriented is going to be running in the Preakness following his Derby Day win, which I thought was a very impressive victory, the way he kind of took hold of the racetrack. There was a slow pace in front of him. I think the rider sensed that, sent his horse on through, and went wire to wire, and he is a gorgeous-looking horse as well. And it wouldn't be the first time that we saw somebody on the undercard on Derby Day come back in 2 weeks and win, because we saw that last year with Seize the Gray. So a little bit of appeal added to the Preakness. He's joining a stablemate Rodriguez as well, James.
Yeah, and he got a big number. I don't know what the rag. It'll be interesting to see what the rags and the sheets gave Goal Oriented, but he got a 104. He got a strong Brisnet and Buyer speed rating. That was a fast race. That allowance win over Hypnus.
Yep. So we'll continue to monitor which horses are going to show up in Baltimore, Maryland, and we'll be back here on the Jury next week, hopefully with Ashley, to talk about our best bets and fades for Preakness weekend. We'll talk about our Preakness selections, maybe a look at the Black-Eyed Susans. We'll see, but we are into the Triple Crown. We'll have plenty to talk to next week. Don't forget to come back on Tuesday for another edition of the Racing Roundtable as well. For James Scully, this is DZ signing off. We'll see you again for another edition of the Jury next week here at TwinSpires.
When it comes to horse racing, you can never have too much information. With TwinSpires, you can place your bets with confidence, whether you use handicapping insights like our Brisnet speed ratings, prime power and past performances, the guidance of our experts' top picks, or just choose a name that catches your eye. Yes! No matter how you pick your horse, bet with TwinSpires. And now you can race to victory with TwinSpires tournaments.